So over the next few videos, I want to talk about an influence that is very significant for my work, for me personally as well, not simply professionally. I don't remember when I was first exposed to the 7 Habits by Covey, but I don't think I fully understood at that time how really important they really were. And I did eventually. And so what I want to do in these next series of videos is I want to break down kind of the key parts there. The original book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Another great book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, written by Covey's son. Another book by Covey's son, The 7 Habits of Happy Kids, which I also think very highly of. And then The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families, which to me was a little bit of a repackaging that didn't end up being quite as good or quite as necessary. But these 3 versions, the original and then those 2 versions for those target audiences, I really recommend not simply listening to me talk about them, but to access them yourselves, maybe after you've listened to my introduction to the different parts, but I think they're really, really well worth it. The first of Covey's 7 Habits is within the section called the Private Victory. So he has the first 3 habits that are about oneself. The next 3 habits are the public victory, and they are about our interactions with others. And then there's a final habit that feeds back into the whole process. But the first of the 7 habits and the first in the private victory is to be proactive. And it is a very powerful habit if we really understand what it's talking about. It's simple in so many ways. Not necessarily easy, but very simple. And it's the idea that we take responsibility for our own lives. That essentially what takes place in our lives is of our choosing. We respond to certain events that are not from our own authorship, through our attitude and through our actions. But there are also many, many actions that we can be the authors of and that help to direct our lives. And even when, many people know the adage of you can't control the winds, but you can direct your sails. You can move your sails so that you are using the wind to your own advantage. And I don't believe that in absolute terms, that everything can be turned to our own control, but I believe so much more of our lives are within our capability than we recognize. And so sometimes we need to be creative, but essentially it is about an attitude of saying, this is my life. I've got one time through on this. I'm going to do the best that I can. I might not have been the one that caused this situation, but if it affects me, I take responsibility for what comes of it. And just that attitude can really transform much of your life if it is a new attitude for you. I encourage you to do some reflection on that and see how that can be applied to your own life in this coming week.